Hello, everybody. It's me, Kurtis, and I'm here with an impromptu live stream because I have some Epic collections that have come in the mail, and I think we'll take a look at them. Some other stuff as well, because I don't just get Epic collections. I buy a lot of comics, as you can see back there. And one of my main interests and main hobbies is actually comic strip reprints. And I work for a company called Library of American Comics, and they do a whole ton of really great comic strip collections. Let's see here. Juso says, "Hello, Curtis. How you doing today?" I'm doing great. We have a little mini heat wave here in Vancouver this weekend. The highs in the very high 20s, 28, 29 degrees Celsius. So it's quite comfortable. It's not summer weather quite yet, but it's definitely up there, which is nice. It's very good. So anyway, yeah, Library of American Comics. And I tried collecting their books as they were coming out for many years, and then they just produced so many books that I have lots of holes. But I was at a collection. I was at a comic book store, and I found some books there. It was a comic book store I don't normally go to, and I found a bunch of these Library of American Comics books. They're $20, and these are all out of print books that, if you try to look them up on Amazon, they're like $100. So I was like very, very surprised to see these. Very happy. If you haven't checked out Dick Tracy, it is a really great action crime detective comic strip it started in the 30s and went all the way to with the original creator, it went to the 80s. It's actually still running in newspapers today. But really, really great stuff. If you watch the Warren Beatty movie, this stuff is way better than that. It's very fun. So I haven't read that volume yet. That's great. And then got a couple of volumes of Steve Canyon. We'll get to the Epic collections in just a second. So just in case, if you're watching this on repeat, when it's not live, you can skip ahead. But for all of you who are watching this live with me, just bear with me because these are such great books. Steve Canyon, really great adventure strip. This one this collects 1957 and 1958. But Milton Caniff, if you haven't read Terry and the Pirates, one of the best, possibly the best action adventure comic strip you'll ever read. Really, really great stuff. Got another one of those. But then the one that excited me the most is this volume of Rip Kirby by Alex Raymond. And Alex Raymond did Flash Gordon, and this is his detective story as well. So Rip Kirby is a detective or a private investigator, and just really classy, really great crime stories. And Alex Raymond is an incredible artist. So if you want to try something new, if you want to dip your toes a little out of the comic strip business, the superhero business, then I recommend that. Got a couple other packages in the mail, and spoiler alert, they're also comic strips. Like I said, we'll get to the Epic collections in just a little bit. I've got 3 to show you today, and but this is just a lot of fun. This again, hunting down a few of the Dick Tracy books that are in my collection that I don't have already. A couple here. This is volumes 13 and 14. They collect about just roughly 2 years at a time, and if you believe it or not, it ran for there are 29 volumes. 29 volumes. Volume 14. This is 1954 and 1956, and then 1951 and 1953. These are old. A lot of these are out of print now. Hard to find, so I was glad to pick up some good deals online and in the comic book store. And yeah, Dick Tracy is a lot of fun. So, and then the next box, one more box, and then we'll get to the Epic collections, I promise. There's a new reprint series, self-published by a guy called, I think it's Acoustic Learning. I think that's the name of the company. But they're doing Alley Oop, and Alley Oop is a comic strip, an old comic strip about a caveman, a time-traveling caveman. It just started off as a caveman comic strip, but the author V.T. Hamlin wrote a story. They wrote a story about these guys from the present day, which at the time was 1939, bringing the alley-oop, the caveman. They accidentally brought him into the present day, so he lived in present day for a while. And after that, it became a time-traveling comic strip where he just kind of went through and visited different areas of the past. Sometimes, you know, ancient Rome or centurions or, you know, all over the place. So the Wild West. And then he would touch back with his buddies and his family back in the past every once in a while too. So there are, this one, I don't know which point of history he goes to Alice in Wonderland. That's got to be a different, you know, fairy tale story or something. So I love this. Great stuff. So this one is 1954, and then this one is 1979 by the guy who took over after V.T. Hamlin, Dave Grau. So yeah, I love this comment. Phil Owen says, and they didn't withhold volume 16 of Dick Tracy. Yeah, it's right there somewhere. Where did it go? Anyway, thanks for bearing with me as I go through those ones. You want to see some epic collections now, right? Okay, I've got two that are out of the package and one that's still in the package, but wanted to show off this one here, Generation X. One of my favorite comics growing up, because I kind of fell into it by accident. I got the first 3 issues for Christmas in '94, and just from my cousin and my brother, they decided to pick those up, and I instantly fell in love with them. And then I followed the series for all 75 issues, and let me tell you, it's not all great, but hold a special place in my heart growing up. So this is the last volume that has Chris Bachalo and Scott Lobdell. They both step off the book toward the end of these issues. And let's see if I can find some here. There's a monumental 25th issue, which is double size. Actually, I think it's triple size. Chris Bachalo does the whole thing, but he had to take a couple of months off before this issue in order to get this one out on time. And it looks great. The reproduction of these ones is very, very nice. But let's see here. And then we get into the Operation Zero Tolerance era, and Jubilee is captured by Bastion. And so there's a big story arc revolving her. And also a lot of these issues, Banshee is looking for the kids because they are missing. They have, because of the events in issue 25, they ran for cover and they're off on their own little journey. So the last few issues of Generation X with Chris Bachalo and Scott Lobdell. After Scott Lobdell leaves, James Robinson, who you might know from a book called Starman, he takes over as the writer and kind of ties up some loose ends. And this volume is called The Secret of M, and James Robinson reveals the big secret, which I will not tell you in here. You might already know. Anyway, this was a weird period for Bachalo. He was experimenting with his art, and a lot of it went more on the cartoony side. You can see some of these faces. He was definitely going in a different direction. And then when he joined X-Men, the editors were like, hey, can you dial back the cartooniness? And so he kind of settled into the style that he has, that we're familiar with today. Let's see, Monolith says, figures it's a good time to get Dick Tracy with volume 1 and 6 getting reprinted. Do you know if there are any plans to reprint any volumes after 6? So that is a great question. That's something that we are currently talking about at the Library of American Comics. We're doing volume 1 through 6 because when IDW first started the series, they did them in these smaller versions. And when Library of American Comics took over the series with volume 7, they did them in the much larger size that we see now. And so we're going back and doing those first 6 volumes in this larger size. So after that, we have to see how these ones sell first. If there is demand, then we will consider it. I think that, don't tell anybody, but I think that we're trying to see if paperback options are available as well. So we're not sure yet. That's all I can say about that. JV says, how are the scans for this Generation X collection? See any problems like this one from the last one? That's a great question. This one solves all of those problems. In the last volume, let's see. The last volume had issues with some scans being very oversaturated in the color to the point where the characters, let's see here, the skin tones, like Jubilee's face is really washed out here. It's just not a great, like this is supposed to be a really solid purple instead of almost white. So it affects like maybe 4 or 5 issues in this one and also in volume 1. But this book doesn't have any of those problems. It's really, really great. So I was happy about that. There's a lot of content in here, including an annual and including Marvel Team Up number 1 of the 90s series with starring Spider-Man. I guess it was called Spider-Man Team Up, I think. Marvel Team Up featuring Spider-Man and Generation X. So it has that. And it also has the 3-part spin-off called Daydreamers, because there is this weird period where Man-Thing, Tana Nile, Franklin Richards, Howard the Duck, and Artie and Leach all teamed up. They all kind of found themselves together at the Generation X mansion or whatever. And then in the events of issue 25, they get spun out into their own 3-part story called Daydreamers, which is an absolutely bonkers story. It's like they travel to a Dr. Seuss world and they visit Howard the Duck's family in Duck World. And like, it's weird. But my favorite part of this is the Generation X Underground Special. This is by Jim Mahfood, who was one of the top alternative artists, comic artists at the time. And I loved this. It was funny, it was a little irreverent, and it was a great, I loved seeing like the characters portrayed in this way. And it was just special. And for me, who only knew superhero comics, it opened my eyes to the fact that comics can be anything. I mean, I knew Archie, I knew Garfield, but this was a completely new world, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. There's Bishop with a afro. Gotta love that. And so I started exploring more non-superhero comics, and in fact, it eventually led me to dropping all of my superhero titles and just exploring other stuff for a good long time until the Epic collections kind of brought me back into the fold. So this is really special. And they really, this issue, when it came out, by that time, all of the paper of the regular comics had gone back to newsprint, but the Generation X special used glossy stock. They had a card cover. There were no ads. They kind of went all out for that one. I don't know why. Anyway, that's that. Let's see here. What is the worst epic in your opinion? The one that I have least enjoyed that I've read so far has got to be Root of Evil. Daredevil Root of Evil was pretty terrible. Didn't enjoy that one. Fall from Grace had a very convoluted story that was not, I don't think, was well told. I didn't like that one very much. And X-Men Volume 2 was really boring, kind of a drag to get through. Okay, what else do I have here? I have a Punisher reprint, Circle of Blood. So on the flip side, this is a great volume full of really great stories. And it starts with a mini-series by Stephen Grant, not related to Moon Knight, and Mike Zeck art. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Absolutely. This just a great story behind this. Really fun. And it kind of launches the solo stories for Punisher right here. This is volume 2 in the series. Volume 1 is going to be mostly made up of Spider-Man issues, I think. But there you go. Does the group have an updated list of epics that are sorted with modern epics on their own? I'm working on that right now, actually. I have one on my website, epicmarvelpodcast.com. If you go to the top, it says Epic Guide. It's not totally up to date yet. I'm going to work on that after I finish my live stream. But yeah, I have a section for modern era. Anyway, after this, Punisher goes into his ongoing series with by Mike Baron and Klaus Janson, and it's just one great story after the other of Punisher taking out drug cartels and all that kind of stuff. And this really, really good characterization on the character with incredible artwork. There's a Daredevil team up or crossover as well, and then there is also this very nice graphic novel at the end called Assassin's Guild by Joe Duffy and Jorge Zafino. Not familiar with Jorge Zafino, but he does a very, very good job in this. I love how noir it feels with big blacks, and it's just really, really nice. And the story is a lot of fun too. So, and especially in the back, you get, I mean, I know it's kind of just quarter pages, there's a shrunk real small, but the entire, all of the pencils for the first issue of the Circle of Blood series are bonus features in the back here, along with the inks. It's like pretty cool. There's a lot of bonus features. So the reprint, it's great. The paper is nice and thick, and it feels nice. The quality's there. There's nothing different about this that I can see. It looks exactly like the first printing. So you can rest assured, if you don't have that copy, you'll get one now. Okay, last one I have here is in the package still. And I know what it is already, and I was expecting X-Force Armageddon Now, but this is, I didn't get that one. I think maybe Marvel perhaps forgot to send that one out to me, so I will have to travel to the comic book store to pick that one up when it's out. But instead, we have Wolverine. Wolverine Volume 7, To the Bone. And okay, hold on. I'm going to answer some questions here. Jorge Zafino was a wonderful Argentinian artist. That's great. Yeah, I should look up more of his work because he was very, very good in Assassin's Guild. What are the issues collected in the Punisher Epic? Okay, I will tell you. Punisher 1 to 5, that's the Circle of Blood miniseries. And then the ongoing series Punisher 1 to 10. Then there's the Daredevil crossover with Daredevil 257. And then the Marvel graphic novel Punisher Assassin's Guild. That's the entire output of issues in this volume right there. Okay. Regarding Wolverine, this Facebook user says one of my most wanted. Yeah, this is a good era. This is for myself. I think this is definitely where things start to change. We had a great run from Larry Hama, and he's still on the book. He's still on the book for a number of years after this even. But this is where Wolverine gets the, at the very end of the previous volume, got the adamantium sucked out by Magneto, sucked out of his body. So now he has to deal with the repercussions. And he goes through very dramatic evolution through this issue and the next couple. So let's see. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. Oh, you want to see the corner box? And we'll see the back cover. It says adamantium no more. And that's kind of funny because this is not even Wolverine on the back cover. That's Albert, right? Pretty sure. Eric Cotton says Wolverine to the Bone brings back fond memories. Wolverine popping out his bone claws for the first time is one of my favorite comic moments of all time. Is that in this? I can't remember if he popped them out in issue 75, right? Anyway, here's some. Who is this? Adam Kubert on pencils. There's Lady Deathstrike. Great composition on that page there, on that 2-page spread. Very nice how it goes from top to bottom in a diagonal. So this era of Wolverine had some scanning issues, and you can I can't really see it on here, but it's the colors are just not as vibrant because they haven't properly restored these pages. Still looks cool. There's a cool shot of Wolverine in the half light there. And you get a lot of these sideways pages as well. This was something that happened a lot for Wolverine in the Kubert days. This Wolverine epic directly connects with the end of the 4th omnibus. Nice. So if you want to continue the story, you can pick this one up. Yeah, look at all these double page spreads. This was the 90s. This is 1993 and 1994. Let's see what else is here. Looks pretty cool. That's wild. Yeah, he goes feral. He starts to lose control of himself. Silver Samurai is in this issue. There's some really nice drawings in this. I do like that. some werewolves. The X-Men show up. X-Men, this is the Phalanx Covenant. This is the final sanction story of Phalanx Covenant. Yeah, there you go. So we were wondering actually just the other day, do they collect all of the Phalanx Covenant here? Nope. They Cable 16. Yeah. So both parts of Final Sanction are in this epic collection here. Where's the Cable cover? There. This is a good companion then for whenever the X-Men book comes out if they don't collect the Final Sanction. Let's see here. What else? Oh, this poor chicken. Animal violence. Be careful. And then at the very end, we have the Marvel graphic novel, Wolverine and Nick Fury, Scorpio Rising. There are 3 Wolverine and Nick Fury graphic novels. I think they're all by Howard Chaykin. This one certainly is. Written by Howard Chaykin. Who's the artist? Sean McManus. So let's see. Let's find some of Wolverine. Here he is. I haven't read this yet, but I've read the other 2 parts to the trilogy, and they're pretty fun. Nothing to write home about. And then there's another graphic novel called Ghost Rider, Punisher, and Wolverine. Dark Design. Dark Design? Yeah, Dark Design. By Howard Mackey and Ron Garney. Howard Mackey, of course, was the Ghost Rider writer at the time, and so he gets to do this graphic novel. I like the lighting on that. That's kind of nice. But we have the 3 dark and gritty characters of the 90s. These 3 were like the most popular, other than, of course, X-Men and Spider-Man. But if you're talking about just kind of the individual darker side of the Marvel Universe, these 3 were so popular. So it makes sense that they have a graphic novel of their own. And then Marvel Age. Not a whole lot of bonus features in this one, just some covers it looks like. And of course the swimsuit special. In your opinion, where will they finish the classic line for Wolverine? Because we have Blood Debt, the Blood Debt epic, and no modern epics announced. Yeah, where's Wolverine here? Actually, this would be a very good place to stop because this one also collects Wolverine Origin, and in my opinion, I think that should have been a start of a modern era epic collection, just in terms of its tone, in terms of the artistic style, just the philosophy of that. It was a new chapter for Wolverine, but what was it called? Was it called Enemy of the State? Greg Rucka. I think that could be where they start. I know it's not like a #1 issue or anything like that, but that could be the start of a Wolverine modern era collection, which I think would start right after this, right? Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But that would be 2002, which would be, about right, I think. That'd be my guess. So there you go. That's Wolverine. I talked about Wolverine, Punisher, and Generation X. That's what we covered today in our live stream. And I'll get some videos on these. It was slow going. I kind of put a pause on the videos because I wanted to see what was going to be announced in our recent round of announcements. And I didn't want to make any videos that were going to go out of date right away. So now that we have half of them, I can make some of the announcements. And I believe that next week, or sometime this week coming up, we'll be doing another 3 months worth of announcements. And there will be I believe, 1 new classic era epic collection line that we're going to announce, and a couple new modern era epic collection lines as well. No reprints yet. We don't have word on the reprints. We will get some X titles in the mix. And I'll tell you right now, no new Punisher books. I'm sorry. Don't know what's happening with that one yet, but we will not hear from Punisher in this round of announcements. But other than that, lots of great surprises. There are some that are not what I predicted. and some very pleasant surprises, and also some very predictable stuff. So it's a good mix of everything. Yeah. Thanks for joining my live stream. Oh, let's see here. Since you started the live stream with comic strips, do you think we could ever get hardcover or trade paperback for strips like Beetle Bailey, Tumbleweeds, Hagar, Red Eye, Wizard of Id? I think that here's a thing that we've come to discover is that people don't buy the comedy strips as much as they buy the just the action adventure ones. Things that sell better are the ones that have the more ongoing story. The gag a week strips, unless it's Peanuts or Calvin and Hobbes or Garfield, they don't sell all that well. But it was a number of years ago, Titan Comics from the UK did put out a really nice series of Hagar, Beetle Bailey, and Wizard of Id. I'll see if I can find some. Hold on a second. They did these really nice short books here. I'll turn off the comment. They reproduced two strips per page. One book collect 1 year. So this is 1973, 1974. This is only the dailies, though. The Hagar only collected the daily strips. But they're nice, and they did 10 of these. They're hard to find now, some of them. And then they also did 3 volumes of Wizard of Id. This one does have the Sundays. This is all in 1971 right here. You can see there's a Sunday. It's all in black and white, though. And then also Beetle Bailey got 2 volumes. And then I guess they decided that they just didn't sell well, so they stopped them, which is too bad. I love the comedy strips, and I would love to get more of them in print, but they just don't sell as well as Dick Tracy and that kind of stuff. Okay, what else is here? Hello, Kurtis. Just joined the stream. I got Moon Knight Epic Collection 1 at Half Price Books. Hope you have a great day. Thanks, everybody calls me Tony. Moon Knight Volume 1 is good. It's half good, actually. It starts off a little slow. The first few issues are good, and then it gets into some weird territory with... I did not like the Defenders story at all in that one. Thought it was so boring. And then after that, when Bill Sienkiewicz kind of takes the reins, and Doug Mensch, the last half of that book is really, really great. Yeah, you missed all these books. Sorry, Monolith. They're kind of hard to find now. Somebody needs to do something like these alley-oop books. I think if someone took up the reins and did just nice soft covers, these are just like $15 or whatever, and that's all we need. I would be perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be a nice hardcover package, but we'll see. What do you think causes big gaps in some of the epic runs, like the Byrne FF, Simonson Thor, Miller Daredevil? Do they need the creators to approve? Is it a carrot to keep us collecting? They don't need any creators to approve. Marvel owns that stuff outright, so they can just go ahead and reprint it as many times and whenever they want to. However, I think you have to look at the bigger picture. At the moment, the Marvel Masterworks line is entering the period of the 80s, because the Byrne FF, Simonson Thor, and Miller Daredevil all happened almost at the same time in the 80s. And the Marvel Masterworks have been moving forward in chronological order, and they are at that point where they are currently doing Byrne FF, Simonson Thor, and Miller Daredevil. My guess is that Marvel, because those are the high-end books, they don't want to cannibalize the sales of the Masterworks. So they're getting that stuff out, the most popular runs, especially since they're restoring them completely. Epics don't get any restoration. They're restoring them completely for the Masterworks line. They're going to do those first. And then after that sale period is over, then they'll release it in a different format. My guess will be Epics, because we're at that point where they kind of have to release those volumes. I love Bloom County, but there is so much content, I just can't get myself to start buying them. Well, IDW has started issuing Bloom County from the beginning in softcover paperback. Just nice bite-sized chunks of, I think, a year and a half or maybe 2 years at a time. So check those out, Bloom County softcover, because that's a good place to start. And I think they'll get about 8 volumes to complete the series over the next few years. So you can look at that. Otherwise, you can still find, I think, the old hardcovers. I think you can see them on my shelf or up these red ones here. These hardcovers, a lot of them are still available, so you can probably find that. I think IDW also made like an omnibus edition, really fat, of the entire series at some point, so you can check that out as well. But Scott Dunbier at IDW is good friends with Berkeley Breast, so they keep on doing Bloom County. I'm happy to wait for that 80s material. Then we get to benefit from the new restorations. Yep, I think that's good too. Plus, there is no shortage of reprints of that stuff. If you really want the material and don't want to wait, you can find the old Visionaries books, or you can find the Omnis or whatever. Like, that stuff has been reprinted numerous times. So, yeah, there you go. Which of the reprinted epics have better Marvel Masterworks scanned pages? The example, the recent Galactus volume of FF. Are there other epic reprints worth trading up for? So far, the only two that I'm aware of are Fantastic Four Volume 3, and then also Fantastic Four Volume 4, Mystery of the Black Panther. That reprint got upgraded scans as well. I don't know of any other one, timing-wise, that has benefited, the reprint has benefited from new scans. But if I let you know, if I find out, I'll definitely let you know in some way, either here or on the Facebook page. Do you think Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5, 6, and 7 will be reprinted soon? Volume 7 got a reprint maybe just over a year ago, and I know it went out kind of fast. Maybe it was 2 years ago by this point. But yeah, it went out fast. So it would have to come up in our reprint poll as something that needs to be reprinted. But the Petrified Tablet, that one is going to be reprinted sometime in 2024 because it did get into our top 20 epic reprint poll. Volume 6 might have to... Well, what was Volume 6? I can't even remember. Secret of Petrified Tablet. Oh yeah, the Death of Captain Stacy. Death of Captain Stacy. I can't remember. Did that one hit the top 20 poll? Volume 5 for sure. So you'll get that one at least. And then we'll have to see what happens after that. Thanks so much for your channel and deep knowledge of the epics. I switched from Omnis to epics in part of you. Thanks. I hope that wasn't a huge hassle, because that's a big thing to do, a big change. Do you think Marvel will finish Amazing Spider-Man before starting Spectacular, Web, or Adjectiveless? I think I think they'll start before Amazing Spider-Man is finished, because I think if they keep running chronologically from the beginning with their one release a month, and they're at volume 10 now, I think, with the Clone Saga, the original Clone Saga, they have to get to volume 15. So that's just 4 more volumes. So that's, let's say, 4 years. Then volume 16, 5 years. At that point, if they only do 1 volume of the Clone Saga in the 90s every year as well, that's going to take more than 5 years. So I bet as soon as they close that gap in the original stuff, they'll start Spectacular Spider-Man, while the rest of Spider-Man goes through the Clone Saga. That's my guess. I don't know if that's how they're going to do it, but it seems like that's kind of how I would do it. Do you think they're holding back the subby epics to take the place of the completed epic lines, or like Thor or Cap, or aren't they selling well, or will they just start reprinting the bigger titles? I don't think they're holding back Submariner. There are some of the smaller titles that don't have as many volumes that are on an every other year schedule. So like the long-running ones get 2 per year. Some of the more medium-range size ones get 1 per year. And then some of the smaller titles have been going every other year. And that way they can like trade off. So like Ghost Rider, I think, is another one. Maybe like they did 1 and then they skipped a year, and now they have the Danny Ketch volume coming out later. Well, they skipped a year. So the Submariner came out, then Ghost Rider came out, then Submariner came out, and then Ghost Rider came out. And so maybe on the next year, I think maybe we'll see another Submariner. But that's kind of how I see the pattern going in some cases. There you go. Everybody calls me Tony says Volume 6 of Amazing Spider-Man didn't make it into the top 20 reprint poll. There we go. As someone starting out with the epics, is it worth getting trade paperbacks or omnibuses? That is really a matter of taste. Some people like them, some people don't. Personally, I don't like the books to be that thick. As you can see, I do like books that are omni-size. This is an omnibus-size book, but it's more manageable. It's only 200 and how many pages is this? It's only 260 pages or so. I have a hard time getting started on books that are that big. I've almost read through ElfQuest, the first ElfQuest omnibus from Dark Horse, the paperback one, and it's 700 pages, and it's taken me like 6 months because it's just so big that I was like, I need to be in the right frame of mind to hold a book this large and like devote some time to it. Okay, what is the likelihood of an Alpha Flight epic line anytime soon? I don't know. I don't know if there's a good chance or not. I would love to see Alpha Flight in the epics. That's one of those lines that's kind of a mid-range. Well, no, Ghost Rider is just as long as Alpha Flight was. So yeah, there you go. Easier reading epics. That's what I say. I love that I can just pull it off, flip through it. It doesn't, I can take it on the bus. I can take it to the beach, whatever. I was just at the playground and I was able to take an epic collection with me there while my daughter played on the monkey bars. I love ElfQuest. Yeah, it's a great story. There was a little bit in the middle that kind of dragged in that first omnibus, but the overall story is great. That was my first time reading through it. I hadn't done it before. So I have the second omnibus as well on my shelf somewhere. Padre says, the Omnis are impressive, but I found them too large and heavy to read. The epics, being the same size as the originals, read better. Yeah, some cases I would love some oversized artwork, but it's not a make or break thing for me. It's all a matter of preference. Some people love it, and, you know, more power to you, because that stuff, Marvel obviously has the market since they're pumping out like 2 Omnis a week right now. Will there be an epic line for the Golden Age? Great question. I don't think so. Right now, they have currently licensed out the Atlas era epic collection, or sorry, the Atlas era Marvel comics to Fantagraphics. Fantagraphics is going to be releasing a hardcover series of Atlas era horror comics, and they're going to expand it hopefully to maybe include some of the Western stuff and everything too. I can't imagine that they'll be doing like really Golden Age, like the 1940s timely era Submariner and Captain America, because that would be like actually licensing those characters, and that would be a lot more expensive. But just the fact that they're licensing out the Atlas era tells me that Marvel isn't interested at all in doing it themselves. So I think that we should not expect to see the epics dip into the Golden Age at the moment. We'll see what the future holds. The binding on the Omnis also worries me in terms of cracking. Yeah, the page block, even in these thinner books like Dick Tracy, the page block, because it's so thick, it does sag, and you have to be careful because the end papers are the only things that are holding the book block to the covers, and that's just the sheet of paper. Hey, Kurtis, I'm collecting X-Men epics now, trying to line it up to transition from Marvel Masterworks X-Men 15, the Marvel Masterworks X-Men Volume 15 to the epics. Yeah, Jeff, I hope that you're able to do that. That is an era that also is in the middle of being masterworked, so those volumes aren't really coming out very fast. I think we have the gift. Volume 12, which I believe is going through the Masterworks program right now. So the subsequent volumes, 13 to 14, I don't know that we're going to see them anytime soon, because I bet you they're going to be Masterworked first. So you'll have a little bit of a wait. I don't think the Golden Age sells great. It doesn't. It really doesn't. There are a few, there's like a small fan base. And Mark Waid, I read something on a forum of Mark Waid saying the fan base is literally dying off every single year, because that it's just the older fans that love it, and the newer fans, there are very few newer fans that are attracted to the Golden Age. So, you know, the people in our group, we're anomalies in that sense, and there's not many of us. So it doesn't, that's why the Masterworks line, they fizzled out. They stopped doing those Golden Age ones, the Atlas era ones, because they just didn't sell well. Okay, oh, lots of comments from here. Let's see here. How did Alpha Flight fare in Canada? Was it popular, since Canadians take pride in them and feel more included, or did they rate it like everything else? Yeah, it wasn't like it was like, yeah, Canada, we're buying it. No, it was just its own thing. It was not anything to write home about. Maybe if they were better comics, then we would have been a little happier. Is the epic line you hinted at an A-lister hero or a B-lister hero? Definitely not an A-lister. I think he probably straddles the line between B and C. I gave you a big hint there. A couple big hints. With these new epics releasing soon, how many have been made so far? Well, Generation X, so Wolverine, I think, is number 317. And then with these new announcements, that gets us up to about 340 or so. And then I think with the new announcements that are coming up this week, should get us more to like 380, somewhere around there, I think, maybe, or 360. I can't remember. But yeah, by September, when we have the 10th anniversary of the Epic lines, we'll get to 400. They already stopped printing Golden Age Omnis a couple of years ago. There were multiple printed, yeah. They got those out as quick as they could to capitalize on some anniversaries and movies and whatnot, but then it's like, yeah, that's it. I don't think they'll be redone. Why do you think Marvel has not given us Amazing Spider-Man Volume 16 Epic Collection? Well, that's the same reason as the Byrne Fantastic Four and the X-Men stuff after the gift. It's currently going through the Masterworks program right now. It's getting the top dollar restoration. So, why didn't they give it to us 8 years ago? I don't know. No idea. It's not the most well-received era of Spider-Man. So who knows why they didn't give it to us before now. But now they're definitely waiting for it to go through the Masterworks. We haven't seen any cowboy epics from the Silver Age, Bronze Age either, and I doubt we'll see them. Marvel has like a dozen cowboy characters. Yeah, Kid Colt and Two Gun Kid and Rawhide Kid, all of those. And all of that stuff, if people love the Silver Age of Marvel with creators like Dick Ayers and Don Heck and Jack Kirby, like they were all doing, John Severin, they were all doing that stuff, all of those Western stuff. It was all of them. So like, if they branded it, maybe not as epic collections, but as names, you know, creator content. Although I wouldn't want that, because then you'd miss out on those stories that were done by like one-off time creators, or, you know, the Larry Lieber stories. People won't, there's not enough to fill a book bin. Who's going to buy a Larry Lieber collection? I would, but not many people. Larry Lieber's still alive, you know. He's still with us. He's very old now, but he's one of the only people left from the Silver Age. Or sorry, from the Golden Age. Golden Age is more coffee table content more than anything. Yeah, I like that. That's great. X-Men Masterworks are going into Inferno next year. Oh, okay, Inferno. So that's it's still coming up on this next, isn't it? Or is it for Inferno's after this? Yeah, so they're past it. Bad Mojo just got around to it. Loads of other books are also waiting. This one's just obvious because it's Spidey 1-volume gap. You'll have to wait a bit as Masterworks are just getting here. That's what I said as well. Yeah, that's right. Marvel should try 1 or 2 Golden Age epics just to see how it goes. Well, I think that we can take a cue from Sergeant Fury that people are not so interested in stuff that's not directly superheroes, stuff that's not directly heavily tied into the 616 universe. That first Epic collection for Nick Fury, Sergeant Fury, I mean, took years to sell through. And so that's why there was such a big delay in Volume 2. And in fact, they weren't even really planning on Volume 2. From what I understand, they're like, oh, they released it because it was Nick Fury's 60th anniversary. And they wanted something from that era of Nick Fury represented in their current releases. So if it weren't for Nick Fury's anniversary, we may not have even gotten that Volume 2. To me, a C-list hero is a hero popular enough to get a book, but not popular enough to keep them going. Yep, I think you're right about that. And I'm not going to say anything more about that new Epic line. Where did that comment go? It's my OCD, but the spine difference of the first volume Wolverine is it my well, sorry. I understand your comment. Yes, it's off. There is definitely a misalignment, a big mistake that was made. So, and it was made in both the reprints. It was reprinted twice, and both times they put it lower. Whoops. Most of the material in that volume 16 of Spider-Man has never been reprinted, so they may be waiting for Masterworks to do some remastering first. Slightly behind the stream, Alpha Flight is a 130 issues, third longest uncollected line behind Spectacular and Marvel Team Up. There you go. Nice. I wonder if they do get Masterworks to get better quality of a better quality of the print, then the Epic is just extra money as the work has already been done. That's exactly what the Epic collections are. They don't put any work into it. They put a lot of work into the Epic collections, but they don't put any new restoration into the Epic collections. So they don't have that same sort of overhead cost. But I mean, they still got to pay a lot of royalties and to their creators and stuff, if they even do that. They do that with some people. I don't know if they do that with everybody. Boy, that's a lot of comments. You people, there's a lot of you on the stream today. What new Epic series would you like? That's a great question. People ask me this, and I never have a good answer because all of the best ones are already out. And especially now that Generation X is out, that's the one I wanted since the beginning, and they're doing it. So I don't really know what the answer would be, except some of the more obscure titles. I would like the new universe. I think that'd be kind of cool to see in Epic collections. More licensed stuff. I want to see Indiana Jones like the rest of you. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, actually, that's the answer. Kurtis wants everything in Epic. I do actually think that would be great. Do you think that they'll ever do modern era Epic collections for the Ultimate Universe? Yes, I do. I think that it's just a matter of time, especially because of Miles Morales. I think we'll see Epic collections for the Ultimate Universe. Be a mouthful. Ultimate Spider-Man Modern Era Epic Collection. Didn't Web have more than 130 issues? Yes, it. I don't know. Any chance of Shadowline, Dr. Zero, Powerline, and St. George being printed, or the New Universe comics? I know they failed back in the day, but I liked them. Great question. I don't know. They don't seem to care really about a lot of those imprints. They'll bring in the characters every so often, like Starbrand was on Avengers, and they tried releasing those Starbrand trade paperbacks, but they didn't do too well. So it's a great question. I don't know. 129 plus annuals and specials, which Alpha Flight, I thought it said Alf, which Alf also has. For some reason, I thought it was 100. Okay, this is just a conversation going on. Even DC stopped making the Golden Age Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman trade paperbacks a while ago. The material has only been put out in omnibuses since. It's true. Because the people who really wanted the material, the very few of them, bought them in the omnis. They didn't need them in the trade paperbacks. So it was just kind of a waste. They just kind of sat there. A lot of them were remaindered at Ollie's and whatever. I bought a bunch of those books. I read only a few of them because They're pretty dense. I understand why it hasn't happened, but I so wish we could get G.I. Joe and Transformers in Epic Collections. That would be really, really nice. Transformers especially, and G.I. Joe are both ripe for new reprints because the IDW's last reprints are all out of print now. They could move on my hardback lot. Is there any instance where the first print of an Epic collection was better than the reprint quality-wise? Yes. The first edition of Iron Fist Epic Collection was really good, and then the second one was done by Quad Graphics with really flimsy paper and a flimsy cover with a little glue, and pages were falling out. So yeah, that one was not great. And then they reprinted that Iron Fist Epic Collection again, and it was good. Not as good as the first edition, but it was better than the second one. And what else has been reprinted? All of the most recent reprints have been by Solisco, and they're a good printer. They've done a really great job with all of these Epic collections over the last year and a half, and so I think that it's been just fine. Exiles should jump between the Shadowline and New Universe and Malibu universes. That would be so cool to have them go through. That would be really awesome. Hey Curtis, did you get the recent superposable Alf figure? I saw it on the shelf at the Target store. Thought of you. This one you mean right here? It is superposable. I do love it. It's very great. I don't buy many action figures. I used to buy a lot of Legends when they first started coming out. I had a whole bunch of those sets, but I sold them all off. I bought Muppets instead. The Muppets figures from Palisades. And this Alf fits right in there with the Muppets. Are you going to finish the do-it-yourself epic videos? Well, you know, I put them on hold because I'm actually trying to convince people to actually do Alf reprints, and so they said, "Can you please just not bind your comics quite yet, in case we need to scan them?" So, so I don't know if that's ever going to come to light, but I've stopped doing that. But yeah, I would love to finish the do-yourself epic Alf videos. Maybe I should just you know, if I could do one volume, I could just buy those issues again if I need to. Is the paper supply chain problem during COVID still creating delays on books? I think that's pretty much all finished now. The delays we see on Epic Collections these days is mainly from shipping, because paper delays is fine, but shipping, while there are still delays at some of the docks and ports if you're going overseas with your books, like the omnibuses are all printed overseas. The Epics aren't. They're printed in Canada, so there's not the same kind of delays there. But for the most part, that's where it's at. The delays are happening from things like distributors. Delays are happening from just Marvel. Marvel has been shifting over their production over to new distribution with Penguin Random House, so that's messed up a couple of their scheduling. But everything seems to be getting kind of back to normal. It's just if you're printing overseas, that's the biggest thing. That is well done, Alf figure. Hoping it came with cats, or did it come with cats? It came with a cat sandwich. That was one of the accessories. Do I have it here? Where's my box? Yeah, I'm not going to take it out, but there is a cat sandwich in there in the box. Well, this has been nice chatting with you, everybody. It's been great. Glad to answer some questions. Glad to hear. Oh, you know what? I don't know. I always go on Omar's streams and see people giving super chats and stuff, and I just got enough hours on my YouTube channel that I can start doing that too. So if you are all inclined to do that kind of thing, then that's cool too. I love it. That's kind of a fun thing. Okay, last question. Do you think X-Men Epics will finish right before New X-Men? I kind of do. And on the Facebook group, on the Epic Collection Facebook group, I actually kind of very roughly mapped out X-Men all the way to New X-Men based on pre-existing trades. And I think we got up to like volume 45 or 46. That's a lot of X-Men. So because there was just so much X-Men content through the 90s. So there you go. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching my live stream. Appreciate it. And I'll be back when I get some more Epic Collections to share. So stay tuned for some other videos when I give my overviews. Like and subscribe, of course. I always appreciate that. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. See you later.